Okay, let's set the scene, because if there was ever a moment in mythology that reserved a cinematic wide shot, this is it.
This is absolutely it.
We are at the absolute breaking point. The universe has been holding its breath for what feels like an eternity. We've had the churning, the poison, the sheer exhaustion of gods and demons pulling on a giant snake.
And finally, the waters part.
Exactly. Emerging from that milky ocean is Dhanvantari, the physician of the gods. And he's walking out of the surf holding, well, he's not just holding a trophy. He is holding the Amrita Kalasha,
A golden pot of nectar.
the literal nuclear codes for immortality.
And let's be very clear about the stakes here. This isn't just a health potion or, a magic energy drink. This is absolute unchecked power.
Right.
Whoever drinks from that pot essentially becomes godlike. They cannot be killed. They cannot be stopped.
And the atmosphere isn't celebratory. It's volatile. It's explosive. The Asuras, the demons, they do not wait for a ceremony.
No waiting. No diplomacy.
They just scramble. It's absolute chaos. They snatch the pot immediately. And just like that, the quote-unquote bad guys have the ultimate weapon.
The universe is staring down the barrel of eternal darkness. It's the worst case scenario.
The Asuras have the prize, and then silent.
Total silence.
Enter Mohini.
And this is where the story shifts. It goes from this chaotic action movie to a tense psychological thriller.
I like that.
Mohini's entrance just freezes the battlefield. But we have to be really careful how we view this. It's easy to think of it as just a distraction or a simple disguise.
Right, a trick.
But if we look at the source material, especially the nuances in the Vishnu Purana, Mohini is described as a divine artistic illusion. She is the manifestation of Maya.
So today on the deep dive, we are not just telling a fairy tale about a trick. We are conducting, I guess, a forensic analysis of what we're calling the trial of intent.
Correct. Because on paper, the Asuras won. They had the pot. They had physical possession of immortality.
And yet, by the end of the day, they walked away with nothing, empty-handed.
That is the core question we're trying to answer. Why did they lose? They put in the work, the sweat equity, the muscle, but they lost the prize.
So let's unpack this. We're looking at the psychology of the Asuras and the ethics of why they were denied.
Okay, let's start with the psychology, the setup. The Asuras have run off with the pot. They're victorious. They're probably high-fiving. But then Vishnu manifests as Mohini.
And this idea of Maya, of illusion, it's not just a magic trick, is it?
No, not at all. Usually we think of a magic trick like a rabbit out of a hat. But here, Maya isn't hiding reality. It's revealing character. It's a test.
Okay, so she appears, and she is breathtaking. The texts say her entrance stops everyone cold, but here is the fumble, and it is a massive one.
The biggest fumble in mythological history, maybe?
The Asuras are holding the key to eternal life. They have won the war, and what do?
They hand the pot back to her.
Why? I mean, really, why? Here, strange, beautiful woman who just appeared out of nowhere. Please take the most valuable object in existence. It makes no strategic sense.
It makes no logical sense, but it makes perfect psychological sense. They were completely consumed.
Consumed by what?
This is the definition of Maya in this context. It represents the distractions that steal our results when we lose focus. The Asuras were so overwhelmed by external beauty, by lust, by the immediate gratification of the moment that their judgment completely collapsed.
So they prioritized the immediate pleasure of interacting with Mohini over the ultimate goal of immortality.
Precisely. That is a wild insight. The first mental model here is what we might call the distraction trap. They didn't lose the pot because they were overpowered militarily.
They lost it because they were distracted by something shiny.
Exactly. Mohini didn't take the pot by force. She didn't fight them for it. They voluntarily handed it over. And then she proposes a strategy.
A fair distribution.
Right. She says, let me separate you into two lines. The divas, the gods on one side, the Asuras on the other.
And they just agree. They just line up like school children.
They agree blindly. They are trusting the illusion rather than their own strategic interests. They were so confident that they have won the interaction with her that she favors them because she smiled at them.
That they forget the war they are actually fighting.
Yes.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting for me. And frankly, this is where I have a problem with the story. I want to play devil's advocate here, and I want to push back hard.
Go ahead. I'm ready.
Is this fair?
It's the question that always comes up.
No, really. Think about it. The Asuras were there during the churning. We talked about this. They held the head of the snake Vasuki. They suffered the poison fumes right in their faces.
More dangerous end, for sure.
The divas held the tail. They had it easy. The Asuras pulled the rope just as hard, maybe harder. They put in the labor. So from a purely, employment law perspective, don't they deserve a paycheck?
A cosmic paycheck.
Yeah.
Wow.
Why is it ethical for Vishnu to trick them like this? It feels like the system is rigged.
If you look at this through the lens of modern labor laws, sure, they have a massive class action lawsuit. They clock the hours.
Legit.
But we are looking at the logic of the Vishnu Purana.
Yeah.
And the logic there isn't about payment. It's about preservation.
Preservation of what? The status quo.
Of the universe itself. See, Amrita the Nectar is not just a reward. It is pure power. Absolute unchecked capability.
Okay.
The ethical argument the texts present is that power without character is a catastrophe.
So it's the loaded weapon argument.
Exactly. Let's make this real. Imagine you have a neighbor who is violent, chaotic, and has explicitly said he wants to burn down the neighborhood.
Yeah.
He works a job, earns money, and goes to a gun store to buy a weapon.
Okay.
He has the money. He put in the labor. He stood in line. Does the shopkeeper have an ethical obligation to sell him that weapon?
In that context, absolutely not. You have an obligation not to sell it.
That is the Asuras.
Yeah.
They are driven by chaos, ego, and destruction. If they become immortal, the narrative of the universe ends. It's game over.
So there's a fundamental difference between earning a paycheck and earning power.
Right. Divine justice is different from labor laws. Labor entitles you to payment, and arguably they got wealth and other things from the ocean, jewels, status, whatever. But only merit, which is a combination of character plus intent, entitles you to power.
That is a heavy distinction. You can work hard, but if your intent is toxic, you aren't qualified for the corner office.
Precisely. It's what we might call the competence trap. You can be competent enough to get the asset, strong enough to pull the snake. But if you lack the character to wield the result, the system, or in this case, Vishnu intervenes.
To prevent a disaster.
Exactly. So the trial of intent finds them guilty not of laziness, but of malicious intent. And because of that, they are disqualified.
But not all of them fell for the distraction.
Right. Which leads us to the one Asura who actually figured it out. The one who saw through the game.
The infamous Rahu.
The Rahu incident.
Yeah.
This part of the story is vital. It's the closest the plan came to failing.
So paint the picture for us. Mohini is feeding the divas, pouring the nectar down the line. The Asuras are sitting there mesmerized, waiting for their turn that is never going to come.
But one guy, Rahu, realizes, wait a minute, we're being plagued. She's not coming back to us.
He represents a different kind of threat.
A different kind. He isn't distracted by lust like the others. He is cold. He is calculating. He realizes that to get the nectar, he has to change his identity.
Shape-shifting.
He uses a disguise to infiltrate the diva line. Sits right between sun and the moon. He blends in. He adopts the aesthetic of the good guy to steal the reward.
This feels incredibly modern. It sounds like corporate fraud, or the guy who lies on his resume to get the VP job.
It is exactly that. If we map this onto our world, Rahu is the ultimate case of imposter syndrome, but malicious, not the I don't feel like I belong kind.
Right, the I am faking this to steal the benefits kind.
Exactly. Rahu represents the attempt to infiltrate spaces you haven't earned through character. You might fake the look. You might wear the right suit, use the right buzzwords, sit at the right table.
You might even sit between the sun and the moon, the brightest people in the room.
But you haven't done the internal work to actually be a diva.
So what happens? Does he get the drink?
He gets a drop. Mohini pours it. Just as he sips it, just as it touches his lips, the sun and the moon, who represent light and awareness, expose him.
They see him.
They spot the shadow in the line. They shout, "This is not one of us."
And the reaction is instant.
Instantaneous.
Yeah.
Vishnu doesn't hesitate. No explanation needed. He summons the Sudarshana Chakra, the spinning disk of time and truth, and beheads Rahu right there.
Whoa, that seems a bit extreme, a beheading for cutting in line.
It's necessary. You have to stop the contagion.
Yeah.
But here is the specific detail that is so fascinating and where the metaphor gets really deep.
Okay.
Because a drop of nectar had touched his throat. His head remains immortal, but his body dies.
That is horrifying. Severed head that can't die.
It's a fractured existence. And think about the mental model here, the floating intellect.
The floating intellect. I like that. Break it down.
When you try to cheat your way into power, when you try to be something you aren't, you might survive, but you are disconnected. The head, the ambition, the ego, the intellect is alive. It screams, it talks, it schemes.
But the body, the grounding, the reality, the connection to the whole is dead.
Exactly. You become a wandering intellect without a foundation. You see this in people who cheat their way to the top. They have the title, the head, but they don't have the foundation or the respect of their peers, the body.
They're eternally restless, always looking over their shoulder.
And the truth, the chakra, inevitably cuts you down. You can't hide who you are forever. The sun and moon always spot the shadow eventually.
You can fake it for a meaning, but you can't fake it for eternity.
You really can't.
So Rahu is dealt with, the divas finish the nectar, and then the curtain drops.
The mirror moment. Mohini vanishes. The illusion dissolves. Vishnu returns to his original form. And the Asuras, they wake up.
Talk about a hangover. They realize they've been duped. The pretty girl is gone, the pot is empty, and their enemies are glowing with immortality.
And they are furious. War breaks out immediately, but the dynamic has shifted completely.
The divas are energized, immortal.
They have the fuel. The Asuras, despite their numbers and their rage, are defeated easily.
Because they were running on empty.
And this brings us back to that core mission of this deep dive, the trial of intent.
Yeah, let's bring this home to the listener. We aren't fighting for a pod of nectar on the back of a turtle, but we are all fighting for something. Success, recognition, that big promotion.
The story forces us to look in the mirror and ask a hard question. Are we relying on labor, or do we have merit?
And again, just to clarify, hard work is common. That's the baseline.
It is. Everyone is grinding. Everyone is churning their ocean, so to speak. If you think hard work alone guarantees the prize, you're thinking like an Asura.
Right. Intent is rare.
Very rare. In a competitive world, it is so tempting to look for shortcuts. It is so tempting to pull a Rahu to mask our true intentions, to fake it till we make it.
But the takeaway here is that reality has a way of checking your ID.
Time is the Sudarshana chakra. Eventually, it exposes the lack of substance. True success isn't just managing to grab the pot for a fleeting moment. It's being worthy of holding it.
If you get the power without the character.
You will eventually hand it back, like the Asuras did when they got distracted, or it will destroy you like it did Rahu.
That's the ethics of success. You can't cheat the universe.
You really can't. The churning is over. The divas have the nectar. Lakshmi has returned. Order is restored. Not just through hard work, but through hard work and ethical merit.
So the divas are safe. They live forever. Happy ending. Credits roll.
Oh.
Oh, I know that tone. That is the we're not done yet tone. You always do this.
If we connect this to the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yes, the divas have long life, but immortality doesn't guarantee wisdom. And it certainly doesn't guarantee safety from oneself.
What do you mean? They just drank the nuclear codes. They are safe.
The nectar solves the problem of death, but it doesn't solve the problem of fear or ego. And while the Asuras lost this round, they don't just go away.
In fact, the defeat makes them bitter.
It hardens them. It makes them more dangerous. The conflict evolves. We've seen the power of Amrita, but the texts tell us there is a force stronger than Amrita.
Stronger than immortality. That seems impossible. What could be stronger than living forever?
Bhakti, devotion.
Okay, now I'm intrigued.
Next time, we are going to dive into a story that is arguably even more intense than the churning. It's about a boy named Prahlada.
I've heard that name. The boy who couldn't be killed, right?
He is born into the Asura clan. His father is Hiranyakashipu, a tyrant who becomes so powerful, largely because of this bitterness we just talked about, that he literally forbids the name of Vishnu from being spoken in his kingdom.
Talk about bad parenting dynamics. Don't pray to God, pray to dad.
It's the ultimate clash of egos, and it ends not with a potion, but with a terrifying roar coming from a cold stone pillar.
We are talking about the man-lion.
We are talking about the emergence of Narasimha, the avatar that is neither man nor beast, appearing at a time that is neither day nor night, inside nor outside, to solve a problem that seemed impossible.
I cannot wait for that. That is one of the most visceral images in all of mythology.
It is the story of how faith can split stone. It shows us that while Amrita can save your body, only devotion can save your soul.
Amazing. Well, that wraps up our forensic analysis of the Mohini avatar, a huge lesson in focus, intent, and why character is the ultimate currency.
Absolutely. Don't be a Rahu. Be real.
To everyone listening, may success and ethics be yours.
And may you hold on to the pot when it matters most.
If you enjoyed this deep dive, you know what to do. Like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss the roar of the lion in the next one. Thanks for listening.